To continue on here, PlayStation boss. Well, this is from Kotaku, by the way, and this is actually a Cohere article. Surprise! But it says here that PlayStation boss wants change he's not willing to make. It says here header here. Head of PlayStation wants to expand its reach with expensive games on hard-to-get hardware. And the article starts off here. It says yesterday, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan said that he wants his company games to one day be as prolific as music or movies. He would love to see a world where potentially hundreds of millions of people would enjoy them. It's the type of future a lot of gaming executives talk about, but one that Sony seems to have no interest in actually achieving. It says here that Ryan's remarks came during a 20-minute interview with GameIndustry.biz at GI Live London, where despite being billed as keynote fireside chat, he didn't actually say a whole lot, and it was noteworthy. Let me continue here because this is irrelevant to what the article is talking about. So it says here that the company hasn't made video game streaming a centerpiece, nor has it bet big on PlayStation Now the way Microsoft has with Game Pass. It doesn't release many small games or mobile games, and the company only just started bringing some of its biggest blockbusters to PC years after they originally came out. It's no fault of Sony's that a pandemic has led to manufacturing shortages and upended global supply chains. But even if you can find a PS5 in stores, it represents the high end of console gaming, and when compared to the Xbox Series S, Nintendo Switch, and Switch Lite. I just want to get this. Here we go. This is the article I want to fucking read. So it says here, or the section of it says here in quote, he says that Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come to the expense of niche teams and studios within PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice of players, reported Bloomberg in April. Instead of investing in smaller teams to pursue more experimental projects, Sony has reportedly doubled down on remakes and sequels of its most successful series. Japan studio, responsible for a range of intriguing smaller projects during the PS3 and Vita days, was downsized and reshuffled around earlier this year. And some independent developers complained over the summer that Sony can be difficult to work with compared to Microsoft and Nintendo. Ryan spoke with ideology of the heart of modern PlayStation in an interview with TMT Post around the same time, saying, quote, players only remember best games rather than okay games, he said. He said, if it is a best game, players want a sequel, and they will also want to buy a sequel, as no one really cares about a game that is only okay. I'm going to end it there, end quote. Jim Ryan, you are showing how little market research you are doing to a great bucket of your target market that you really need to focus on, buddy. Not everyone wants to fucking play Uncharted. So it's this is what worries me, and I think when it comes to these big titles, focusing on these big titles, I think it is important that obviously you have to approach those. Obviously, God of War needs to have a sequel. Obviously, we need a remake of some of these bigger titles. I don't necessarily agree with remaking a 2016 game and making it $60, $70 again. I think that's fucking stupid. But when it comes to titles that we have as exclusives for the console and exclusive titles in general, whether it be older games that have sequels or newer games that are exclusives, yes, obviously that makes sense, especially in today's world where you have a Microsoft that's paying $7 billion for Bethesda. So we have to play that game, right? But Microsoft is also, unlike Sony, is focusing on indie as well. And it's a whole nother market, like his definition of okay games, like what is that? You know what I mean? So it just shows what little research and understanding that he has of the gamer. He wanted to shut down PS3 and Vita months ago, and we're like, what the fuck are you doing? So
a lot of his quotes I don't fucking agree with. He's like, I want to make a thing that hundreds of millions of people can enjoy. And it's like, I feel like that quote acts like his current customers, like me included, like us included, like one, we're not enough, and two, gaming hasn't become the world and industry that it already is. Mm-hmm. So for him to say like, I want to do this with hundreds of millions of people, like that's now. Like, motherfucker, how many fucking shows or movies are coming from your games? You know what I mean? Like Uncharted and having a fucking movie coming out. And then again, like, what's an okay game? And
Yeah.
something I've mentioned in the past of like why I always like have a heart for any developers is like, one, you don't have the corporate thing to it. You know, like whether it's microtransactions or just weird shit of like throw money at it and let's see if we get money back. Fucking gaming.
Yeah.
Fucking Google Stadia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, you know, to a point, like arguably almost everyone was indie, or, and, you know, and these companies need to grow, but before they grow, they need to fucking start. You know,
Yeah.
A company that I mentioned now that's quietly becoming a AAA fucking competitor, Obsidian. But again, where Obsidian is now is not where Obsidian was a couple years ago. Obsidian was looked at as like the small backup, like, hey, finish these touches, finish that, and they're like, and it's like, okay, cool, we'll do that, and then like, little by little, but versus Knights of the Republic 2, fucking Fallout New Vegas, fucking, you know, and fucking Outer Worlds 2 with Avowed coming out, and it's like, again, like, these indie developers had to start somewhere. Fucking No Man's Sky, which is, again, if you haven't played it, it's an amazing game. Like, it's still getting awards here and there because of its expansions. By the way, like, you know,
Amazing soundtrack too.
amazing soundtrack. And something to mention, even recently as like 2 months ago, that game's still getting updates. That game is still getting legitimate, massive
Support and everything.
support, mechanic updates. And again, and that started with a team of like 12 people.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, supporting what Microsoft is doing of supporting these indie developers, they're planting the seed now for what these developers can be 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because remember we said the gaming industry. I'm not saying it's slow, but like, it's not uncommon for like you know, a game, for a company to make a game now, and then make nothing, or make a game that comes out 6 years from now.
Yeah.
Because that's just a time lapse of games versus like movies. Games take longer.
Yeah.
And so again, by supporting these indie developers now, you're potentially, you know, by supporting this quote unquote okay indie game now, you're potentially getting that fucking crazy godlike Uncharted, Last of Us, God of War like game 6 years from now.
Yeah.
Because of the support and because of the support and the financials they got in their little indie game 6 years prior. You know, before No Man's Sky, it was Danger Dave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, again, that's why. So, you know, we mentioned sometimes how companies will make like an indie like game to get their foundation for their true passion project. Was it Coffee Stain Studios that they're the publisher for the game I like, of Deep Rock Galactic, and then the publisher for the game that we talked about that, you know, clearly a ton of people played, Valheim, because of the success that publisher got from those games. They're able, you know, they got a big financial back, and they got bought out, I forget by somebody. I think it was Microsoft actually. And then again, that's a stepping stone to like their next big endeavor.
Yeah.
And so by Sony clearly saying like, oh, we only, you know, kind of like passively aggressively saying, we just want that big home run. Okay, well, how many fucking people, you know, how many people, not to give like too much of a sports analogy, how many people can do like, you know, like walk on home runs?
Yeah.
You're gonna get the guy that's gonna get a few doubles, triples first before he becomes that grand slam hitter.
Yeah.
And
not everybody's gonna bat 1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You make a really good point, Arthur. You make a really good point as far as for, you know, not focusing on these indie developers. They could be the next fucking, you know, Naughty Dog. I think you make a really good point there. Yeah, I think for me, it just goes back to the sentiment of you want X hundred millions of people to play, you know, play on PlayStation, but that's not how it works. You have different buckets of people. There's certain people that just want to buy X game and that's all they play, you know, but it's like, let's not forget the indie gamer, you know. I think soon this is going to bite them, you know. I think soon this is going to be a big mistake, you know. Obviously right now, you know, the PlayStation is obviously doing well. Obviously they need to make more consoles. But you know, I think they're losing money by not focusing on indie games, because the one thing too, even though I don't like saying this as far as indie games being kind of like a buffer until like the next big game comes out, it does help. And then also, like you said, you shed light on very popular developers that could grow to make really, box office grooming games if they wanted to, or just to be within the family of a target market of customers that will buy those games, consistently. So, while I do agree with, obviously there needs to be a focus on these first party titles, and these blockbuster titles and exclusives. But I just feel like, again, indie games, like really calling them just okay games, to me, that's offensive. I mean, it was offensive just closing the Vita and the PS3 store because if you didn't understand, why do people want to play games that don't look great? I'm like, this isn't, like, not everyone's going to the fucking movies. Like, you cannot compare it to that, So, that's just kind of my frustration with him.
And to give a quick video game history here, you can't have Last of Us without Keith the Thief, aka Naughty Dog's first fucking game.
Nice, yeah.
1989 gets at most averaging 3 of 5. Look up Keith the Thief. By the way, Keith, I'm not mispronouncing Keith. No, Keith, Keef, the Thief. Naughty Dog's first game.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, you can't have your Last of Us without Keith the Thief.
Yeah. You gotta start somewhere, man.
You can't have No Man. You can't have No Man's Sky without fucking Danger Dave.
Yeah. No, you're right. I 100% agree. Hey everybody, my name is Jarrell.
My name's Arthur.
And welcome to the Gamers for Life podcast channel here, where we discuss all things games, movie things related, consoles, stuff going on in the industry. We have a whole lot of fun here. We have news clips, or funny compilations, things of that nature. But be sure to subscribe here on the YouTube channel. We'd love to have you. And also, if you want to check out all things related to Gamers for Life, so if it's Arthur doing the Twitch stuff, or if you want to listen to our audio content as well, go to linktree.com/Gamers for Life. Get all the good stuff there. But again, welcome, and I hope you can subscribe so you can check out more of our videos for the future.
Follow us on Instagram for stories we don't always cover, but worth talking about.
Oh yeah. Peace.